The town wakes under a gray sky. A church smolders from a recent arson. The air is heavy with dread as community members gather in disbelief. Residents inspect the ruins of a black church and the vandalized core Freedom House. Whispers of KKK and hate ripple through the crowd. In a packed sanctuary, anxious voices rise. Local elders and activists exchange fearful glances as they recount acts of vandalism. They begin to have a resolve. Ernest Chili Willie Thomas, and a Korean War veteran, and Frederick Douglass Kirkpatrick organized meetings with fellow citizens determined to change the tide. Amidst maps and newspapers, voices murmur ideas with conviction. Ernest proclaims, like Deacons serve our church, we shall serve and defend our community. The Deacons for Defense was born, and Percy Lee Bradford was introduced as the president of the Jonesboro chapter. Under a pale sunrise, in the town of Jonesboro, veterans and recruits trained with shotguns and other arms. Their movements echo military drills, reflecting the discipline and determination in their hearts and minds. Families and civil rights workers watch the training with a mix of hope and trepidation. The Deacons' visible preparedness begins to inspire confidence amongst them. Ernest and Frederick lead a roundtable discussion. With measured voices, they state, "We defend, never provoke. Our mission is protection for our families, our activists, and our community." During a student protest, tensions spike as police prepare to use fire hoses. The Deacons step forward, shotguns in hand. Their firearm stances forces the police to withdraw, preserving the protest's dignity. In a symbolic act against segregation, the Deacons oversee the integration of a once segregated swimming pool. Children of all backgrounds splash together as barriers fall. Across town, leaders Robert Hicks, Charles Sims, and A.Z. Young establish a Bogalusa chapter. Their resolve mirrors that in Jonesboro as they face rising local hostilities. News spread that Bogalusa's first black deputy sheriff has been assassinated by whites. The shock deepens the community's pain and intensifies the need for protection. In a volatile moment, Henry Austin, a Deacon member, confronts Alton Crow, a white man attacking black protesters. A shot rings out. Though Crow survived, the incident stoked further tensions. Television screens and newspaper headlines report the Bogalusa shootout. Critics and sympathetic voices debate the impact of armed self-defense on the nonviolent movement. In Natchez, brutal incidents, the severe beating of Bill Ware by police, and an assassination attempt on activist George Metcalf galvanized local leaders. The need for a self-defense chapter becomes undeniable. James Jackson, a concerned citizen in Natchez, gathers and pledges to protect their town, forming a chapter of the Deacons of Defense that echoes their determination. Around the hewn table, members argue the merits of nonviolence versus armed defense. Voices are measured yet impassioned as they agree our actions are purely defensive, protecting, not inciting. Local residents, once cowed by intimidation, now stand tall. The Deacons patrol neighborhoods and community members greet them with nods of respect and hope. In a high-stakes meeting, federal officials discuss the unrest in Bogalusa. New mandates are issued requiring local police to protect the civil rights workers under the long-forgotten Reconstruction-era laws. Ernest Thomas, now the vice president of the Jonesboro chapter, stands before a crowd under flickering lamplight. He says, "We fight not for vengeance but for justice and our right to live free." In a quiet moment of reflection, Frederick Kirkpatrick pores over old letters and photos of lost friends. The personal cost of their mission weighs heavily on his heart. The Deacons form a protective line around civil rights marchers. Amid the determined footsteps and resolute faces, their presence ensures that fear does not paralyze progress. In a candid discussion, members acknowledge that the evolving political landscape. While the Voting Rights Act of 1965 and other gains shift the battleground, they affirm the spirit of self-defense. As the sun rises, a changed America, the influence of the Deacons begins to wane with the advent of new movements like the Black Panthers. Yet, in a reflective silence of the town square, their legacy endures. A timeless symbol of courage and the right to self-defense against systemic oppression. The Deacons of Defense.